Welcome back, video creeps. I just got through watching the next episode of Chucky, which means we now have 2 hours of new Chucky footage. It's like we have a little baby movie now with like a lot of loose ends. It wouldn't be a good, it's not good for a movie, but it was a great episode. And I promised that we would be talking about every single episode. So, you know, we got to talk about this one too. So let's get right into it. First things first, even the opening recap of the last episode, like for some reason just got me like childhood excited. And like I'd already seen that stuff. I think it was just like the knowing that I was gonna see more stuff. How often do you get to revisit your youth? It's not often, so it felt good. And truth be told, I'm like kind of not over the fact that we still have a Chucky TV show. Like it feels like a cheat code or something. Like every time I get a new episode, like I feel naughty. Now this episode does open up with another flashback to Charles Lee Ray as a child. We see him biting into an apple that already has a blade in it. Cause I don't know, he's like putting in his time as a psychopath, I guess. Cause he sees the blade before he does. He like makes the choice. Is that like a thing against me? Cause I'm like making fun of his choice. Everyone can do whatever they, if you want to bite into an apple with a blade, I guess you can. But man, I don't recommend it. We see Jake starting to adjust to living with his aunt and uncle. And especially with where we left off in the last episode with his father. It was kind of nice to see him adjusting. It wasn't, hey, yesterday your dad was not alive anymore and now you're happy today. No, it wasn't like that at all. It really took off from the place that we left this character, which I guess is one of the great benefits to having this as a TV show. This episode was very reminiscent of Child's Play 2 in a lot of ways. Like when Joanne and Phil are in the car with little Andy and they're like, you know, what do you like for breakfast? And he's like, my mom made me eggs. Jake has effectively been adopted. Kind of like how we see Andy in part 2. And there is another reference later on in this episode that makes me think of Child's Play 2. But I'm getting ahead of myself. When Jake goes to school, all of the other kids are kind of like banging with him now. They're kind of like, yo, that sucked, I'm sorry. There was even one character that like invites him to a party, which I'm not gonna lie, like I thought that was gonna be a setup for something really crappy to happen down like later in the episode. But I'm really glad that Don Mancini and the writers decided not to take that route. It was a good level of subversion that I honestly appreciate. And that's not limited to what's going on with him and this Devin character, which guys, I'm not so sure about Devin. Like I don't know if maybe he could also be gay with Jake and maybe they're catching a vibe off of each other or what. But in that first scene where you see them together, it's kind of like, is this like a thing that is he not gonna be into Jake? Which I mean, for good television, yeah, that heartbreak, that'd be interesting to watch. But oh, that would suck for our boy. But right now we don't know if Devin is just kind of being friendly towards Jake or he does have a genuine interest. But that is a storyline that I'm interested in. The maid kill in this thing was just wonderful, but it is nice that we're getting through all the things that we watched in the trailer, so that way we have nothing but new content coming towards us with this show and the upcoming episodes. I had such a stupid moment when I was watching it. Like I saw her, like the knives and they were sticking up and I knew what was gonna happen. And I was like, who puts their knives like that? Then I realized like I do that. That could be me, man. After that, one of my favorite little moments in this is Jake finds the maid and goes upstairs to confront Chucky about it. He's like, I didn't do it. I really am loving the humor that's in this series so far. It feels like they're walking a fine line between the horror, the tension, and the humor, and they're kind of nailing it for me. But what's really interesting about this scene is that there's a reference to Glenn from Seed of Chucky. If you're a Chucky fanatic like me, you know that mention of Glenn and Glenda was supposed to be at the end of Cult of Chucky. But then Universal kind of pulled the plug on that and said, no way. The Chucky video, my little guy isn't even in here. What am I doing? But in this episode, he brings up, he talks about Glenn. He goes, yeah, I got this gender fluid kid and, you know, fucking it's no skin off my tits. And I love that because there is suspicion on my end, especially with this Lexi character. I do feel like because he only brought up Glenn and not Glenda, there could be a potential that Glenda's kind of already looming around. There's a part of me that feels like Lexi is Glenda. I realize that wouldn't make a ton of sense because Chucky is gunning to kill Lexi so hard, but it does make me wonder if Chucky can put his soul into all of these other people, like the kids can probably do that too. And I can see Glenda falling in line with Chucky, so just speculation, but I feel like that's something to watch. After the maid is killed, we get that other Child's Play 2 reference, the one where we hear the adoptive parents talking and they're like, are we qualified to take care of a child like this? That's almost word for word what Phil said in part 2. I love that. I really, come on, yeah, give me that shit. Another thing that I noticed that I don't know if this is something to be, pointed out, but there's a quick scene in this where Jake goes into his room and you see that there's a new doll formation in his room. And this is a little ludicrous, but stay with me. Could they be foreshadowing ultimately like a super Chucky that they're gonna do? Like, will Chucky possess this major crazy doll part thing? Like, you look at the intro of this with the letters that spell Chucky and it's just doll parts, and you keep on seeing doll parts in the last 2 episodes anyway. It does make me wonder if we're gearing up for a showdown where we're gonna see this massive monster Chucky. And I'm here for it. I like that in this episode, we also learned that Devin's mom is the lady cop from part 1 who's actually starting to piece things together in this. I think that tightens up the cast, and it makes sense why Devin's character has that podcast, in addition to giving that lady cop a personal stake in what's happening with her son and this case. Overall, I really like this episode. It was cool that we got to do Halloween. Anytime that we're able to get Halloween references in our like slasher horror movie world, it's always fun. And of course, seeing Hello Chucky as like, that's another one that we kind of got an early glimpse at, but I'm so glad that they did that. Hello Chucky is one of those like props that I've wanted in my life for years. The Hello Tiffany is like really cool too. Like, I just want that whole little family set. It's very cool. So to see that they actually took that and drew inspiration and put it in this show, very, very neat. In addition to some of those Halloween shots that we knew were gonna happen, we also get to visit this party that we saw in that trailer. Now, the big Frenching crazy thing that we know is gonna happen at a party did not happen at this party, which I'm kind of grateful for. I'm glad that we didn't shoehorn everything because I am looking forward to that, but I wasn't ready for it just yet. But at this party, we see Chucky, and I think the little girl's name is Caroline, and there's just something about seeing Chucky and a child together. It's like seeing Michael Myers and his knife, or Freddy and his glove. Like, Chucky has to have a kid that he's corrupting, and like, it looks like we're gonna get that in this character of Caroline. Caroline is the sister of Lexi, who, like, oh god, in this episode, she is just so nasty and so mean. I've bullied, like, I've done mean things to other kids, but like, when I saw her dressed up as fucking Jake's dad getting electrocuted, my mouth hung I couldn't believe what was being shown to me. She truly is just an awful girl. And then, much like the last episode, this episode ends with Jake and Chucky having kind of a powwow, discussing how some people deserve to die and everyone's got a little bit of a killer in them. Killer in me is a killer. And everyone has that potential in them to be the person who delivers that. The death count was lower in this. We only got 1 kill, but for some reason that really didn't matter to me. The episode was engaging enough to keep me interested. The soundtrack, which was a big gripe of mine in the first episode here, it was the only gripe that I had, was significantly better in this episode. Wasn't even a problem. In fact, at that party, there's like something playing in the background. I was like, this is good. And again, the humor in this episode is just here. I really enjoyed it. That whole like bed stabbing scene is funny. It's exactly what I want this show to be. Interestingly enough, in this episode, we saw no legacy characters. In the first one, at least, we got to hear Andy Barclay's voice, but in this one, it was all new characters, this whole new storyline, which makes me think that in the next episode, we might get a lot of legacy characters coming through, or at least 1 or 2. So I am incredibly pumped for episode 3. Titled like Wanna Play. I saw that there's a promo out for it. I highly recommend that you go and watch it if you haven't. And of course, if you're having a hard time trying to track down this TV show, my buddy Frank actually has a Discord where every single Tuesday he is playing the new episode so you can watch in a community with a bunch of other people who love it. A link to that Discord will be down in the description of this video. But tell me guys, what did you think of episode 2? Whatever it is, let me know down in the comments below. Please like this video so that way the algorithm gods can smile upon me. And if you're new here, make sure that you subscribe and hit the notification bell so that way you don't miss me talking about the 3rd episode or the 4th, because I'm going to be talking about every single episode in this thing up until the season finale. That's going to be it for this video. I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace, video creeps.
Some roses are red and some are blue, so please take a bunch here just for you. Besides, they were on sale 3 for 2. You're the kind that deserves a bouquet. You deserve a bouquet. You deserve a bouquet. Cause you're my Patreons, yeah, my Patreons. Rebecca reviews, Kyoko, Larry Sherman, Dory Stewart, Carwoman, and Butcher's Grindhouse, Lord X4, Michael Andrews, Premier, Survivors, Girls Like Voorhees, Joe Adrian, Leilani, Legal Lady Horror, Jessica Rabbit, Leela, Rachel Marie Prince, Giselle, Bittersweet Vegan, and Elle. How can I tell you thank you all for being my Patreon, yeah. And now I'm driving in car and I'm going pretty up long on the road, and I know that I can do it. I will love you so, thank you. It's only my Patreon, yeah, yeah, yeah.